How's it, everybody? Welcome to Find Your Place in the World Real Estate Update. I'm Kurt Francis, Master Real Estate Marketing Strategist, award winning speaker, and best selling author. So it's good to be with you today. I'm really stirred up to talk a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm going to be doing this weekly. So let's go for it. So, what's your Vigorizante level for your housing market? And you might say, oh my gosh, what do you mean by that? What is your Vigorizante level for your housing market? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that. Let's first look at the word in more detail. Vigorizante. What does that mean? What does Vigorizante mean? Well, it's a Spanish word and meaning invigorate. And we basically get the word invigorate from that vigorizante, however you want to say it. A lot of people say vigorizante. Some people say vigorizanto. But that's a powerful word. I love the way Latina and Latinos people speak. There's so much emotion in the Spanish language. There's so much emotion. There's so much energy when you hear them speak. And I often say to my husband, Fernando, everyone speaks so fast in Spanish, and there's excitement, a lot of energy. So I love using the word vigorizanto, vigorizante in trying to describe invigoration. And we're going to look at what's the real difference. Got a question for you. Have you ever attended a life-changing seminar, like maybe some business conference you went to, or church conference, or something like Tony Robbins, where you get in the midst of a few thousand people and there's a tremendous amount of energy and tremendous amount of excitement and a tremendous amount of movement of emotions that you just get totally wowed in that moment. Have you ever experienced that? Most of us have, right? Well, have you ever read a book that just divided you and uplifted you, and you just couldn't, stop reading it, or you didn't want the book to finish, or you wanted to read it a second time? Have you ever witnessed or gone to a great musical concert where that music just moved you? There were emotions, and you just wanted to live in that music. You never wanted that music to stop. You hated the fact there was a last song, and you wanted another encore. You wanted more songs, more energy and excitement at the concert. Or you've been on some great vacation and you thought, I've got to come back here. Like Puerto Vallarta is a place that I go. I call it Puerto Viagra because it's been South African. Vallarta was a very difficult word to say. And we go normally once a year to Puerto Vallarta. And it's a place that when I leave, I always just, well, when can we come back? It's that exciting thing, that exciting moment. But what actually happens afterwards is when you leave, the initial surge of inspiration can feel electric. It's igniting a spark of hope and possibility, whether it's a conference, whether it's a book, whether it's an experience, a concert, something. That initial surge of inspiration is wonderful and powerful and absolutely just fantastic. So, I mean, how often does that spark fade away, leaving you back in the mundane routine? And as you away from the concert, you're away from the conference, and some of the things you said you're going to do, you just go back into your old lifestyle again. Well, Vigorizante, let's just look at a little bit about that. Vigorizante is not just a feeling inspired. It's not just you get inspired. Vigorizante and invigoration is a lot more than that. It's about channeling that inspiration into action. It's the thrill of taking that first step, fueled by a clear purpose of unwavering determination. So you have a great experience at the conference. You say, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to start eating healthier. I'm going to work smarter. I'm going to do less of certain stuff. I'm going to get up earlier in the mornings. I'm going to go to bed, early at night. I'm not going to eat anything from 8 p.m. at night. I'm going to do intermittent fasting, whatever, exercising more, whatever it is, okay? Vigorizante, invigoration, is taking the inspiration and putting action to it and actually doing it, the things that you plan to do or that you wanted to do in that moment of inspired. When you were inspired at that moment, you said you're going to do all these things, but invigoration and vigorizante is taking that inspiration and developing it and doing something else with it. So the key difference, let's just look at that. Inspiration can be very passive. It can be a great movement of emotion, but it's passive. You haven't taken any action yet. It's the initial spark, the wow moment when you were initially wowed. Vigorizante or invigoration is active. Okay, it's translating that spark into tangible action, turning I could into I will. I could do this, but they don't do it. It's taking that I can do this, I should do this. And as Tony Robbins says, we often just shoot all over ourselves. We just shoot all over ourselves. In the moment, we just shoot all over ourselves because we say, I should do this, I can do this, but do we do it or do we do it, right? It is all about action. And we'll talk more about this in the market update. We can talk about action. We're going to focus on action in more ways than we thought about in the way we look at a market update. It's all about action. A lot of people just say, well, what's happening around me? Well, I'm not interested in what's happening around me. What I am interested in is what action am I taking? What action is the market taking? So we, instead of just looking at something passively and just getting inspired by a market, but how can we get invigorated by it and actually taking action? So why are we chatting about Vigorizante? Well, the buyers right now in the market and the sellers in the market are not just the ones who are moved by inspiration. Right now, with the challenges we've got in this market around the country, but especially San Diego, California, is that people who are moving, people who are buying, people who are selling are not just doing it through inspiration, but they moved into vigorizante. They moved into invigoration. They've taken action, and it's like looking at the tiger in its eyes, or looking at a lion. That you're going to take action. You're not just going to talk about it. You're not going to have a nice feeling. I'm feeling good about the market. I'm really feeling great about it. Well, it's not about just feeling great. It's about what action are we taking, or what action can you really take? So the buyers and sellers in this market are the invigorators, moved by invigoration, who channel their inspiration because they've made a decision of they've got to do something. They have to buy or they have to sell. There's either a death in the family, a divorce, or disease, or there's more children, or there's less children, downsizing, or we've been relocated. There's it's more than an inspiration. It's an invigoration where they have to do something. They have to do something. And these are the real vigorizantes. These people are taking action and really doing it. The vigorizantes or the invigorators, they transform and transvigorate. I don't want to get into the word transvigorate right now. It's a powerful word. The spark of inspiration into tangible action turning. So they turn the spark of the inspiration and they turn it into action. I could. Turning it into I will. Okay, so those are the people that are really in the market right now. So let's talk about the market and its actions. Okay, let's talk about it. We focus on action today, from inspiration to invigoration, from taking action. And I want to look at the market update slightly different than probably you've been used to or exposed to in the past. So I want to talk about the action, the term market action index. So when we ever talk about MAI, the market action index, now few people talk about this, few people look at it with this approach, but I really want to stir you up from looking at it with this approach. So the market action index, people ask me, Kurt, how's the market? Well, it depends. Are you buying? Are you selling? Are you investing? Or are you renting? Okay, so when we talk about the market, we're talking about comparing the rate of sales versus the inventory. The rate of sales versus the inventory. And inventory is everything. If you remember COVID and you want to go to Costco and there was no toilet paper, and there was no inventory, and you're just standing in lines to get toilet paper because people just were freaking out like crazy about toilet paper, right? And it's the same right now with the housing market. There's such a little inventory. There's no toilet paper. Okay, so when we're looking at the market, I want to look at what action is happening based on the inventory and comparing that with the rate of sales. Comparing this week from last week. Now, most people, when you talk about updates, are always talking about last year or last month. But when we talk about the MAI, the Market Action Index, we are not talking about monthly, yearly. We're actually talking about this week. What happened this week compared to last week? Why? Because especially when the inventory levels are so low, that a week from the previous week can make a massive difference. Now, we were expecting a lot more inventory to come on in January, as we normally see in normal markets. Well, that hasn't just happened. Now, I'm not going to speak about all those levels today, but I will tell you that there is still very high buyer demand, and these invigorated buyers who have to get into a place for whatever reason, whatever the motivation is. That's why we're looking at the market action index. Okay, so let's look at San Diego City. This is San Diego City. This is not the county. This is San Diego City. And in this portion, I'm just looking at the single family residence, in other words, detached properties. Now, if you look at this graph over here, or this indicator, you'll see a needle. Okay, you'll see a needle, and it actually it goes from 0 to 100. And thanks, John Curry at Chartwell Escrow for all the data and information that you've given to me and us. So any index that the needle shows above 30 basically is a potential seller's market. You're moving more into seller's market. Sometimes markets don't appear to be a seller's market, but they actually are. So once the needle moves above 30, now how is that calculated? I won't get into that now, but it's an algorithm that the data researchers put together. Okay, so the index is adjusted every week, not monthly. So when I do this every single week, it's adjustment that's made per week, not monthly. Okay, so we're not looking at monthly, we're not looking annually, we're looking at weekly. That's what we're looking at. So the index here is 55. You see it's 55. So that's way above 30, okay, which is showing that it's really a strong seller's market. It's a very strong seller's market right now. We know that. We all know that. But a lot of people don't look at the index, and a lot of people don't look at what action is happening in the marketplace right now. So that's what we really focused on. So the inventory is down and prices are still reasonably steady. You say, well, Kurt, is it really? It's still reasonably steady. They're not sharp adjustments, whatever. So the average days on the market now, the 55, is not from the indicator of the 55 on the little graph, okay, or the infographic. The 55 is just other research I've done. Right now, the average days on market, DOM is days on market, is 55. The median days on market is 35. A lot of people say, well, what's the difference? Well, average is if there are 300 properties, you take 300 and you take all days on market and you divide by 300 and you get the average of 55. Median is where you take the highest and the lowest, and in the middle, that's the median, is 35. Now, I always look at both. I never just look at one. Okay, so the inventory level in San Diego City, City of San Diego is 377, and that is nothing. Okay, that is all what is on it this week, 377. And the median list price is 1,299,000. Remember, this is single family. We're not talking about condos now. We're talking about single family detached properties. The median list price, the price in the middle, is 1,299. Now, this obviously sometimes can be misleading, and you never make a decision on a price of a property just based on the median price. There's a lot of other factors, and we'll go into that another time. So that's the median. Now, the median list price of new listings this week is 1,199,000. So that has, of course, dropped or lower. But one's got to be careful, because those are perhaps just new listings, just maybe new listings, properties that are perhaps less valuable than others or less remodeled than others have come up. So one can't just make one decision on that data. You see, the power of information is great, right? But information is not power. We think it is. We live in informational age / entertainment age. However, information is not necessarily powerful. Okay, information and data is just information. Potential power is the interpretation of the data, is interpretation of the information. That's potential power. And the real power is when you execute the the information that you've interpreted it to make a decision, because we make decisions based on logic, which is we make decisions based on interpreted information, and then we act, and that the power is where we act. So you get information, you get potential, power, and then you get power. Yeah, and it's all based on action, right? So let's look at this. So last week's MAI, Market Action Index, was 57, and now this is 55. There is a difference. Okay, so what I say is that, like the stock market goes up and comes down, can happen all in one day, can drop 1,000 points, can go up 300 points. When you make a decision just on one day, that can be dangerous, right? However, in the real estate market, the market changes every day, like the stock market. And so I really look at it weekly. I don't look at the day, every day changing, but more per week. So from 57 to 55. Okay, so what does that really mean? Okay, well, we've got to look at every week. Now, when you look at a week after week after week after week, and you see a trend of the MAI, the Market Action Index, declining in a number of weeks in a row, then you can say, well, it looks like there's going to be a trend. Of course, a difficult time to do this is from December, until mid-January, because of it's the holidays, or actually from Thanksgiving. It's the holiday, so one's got to be careful at this index during that time, because it may give you a seasonal trend and not really what's happening in the market. Maybe a seasonal trend or season action index, but not a market action index. So if you look at this the next 3-4 weeks, and you say, well, now we see a trend. Now, I'm going to be doing this every Friday, 11 o'clock, about 11 a.m., and going to be looking at this index, what's happening. We're going to go into other local areas as well. We'll do La Jolla, we'll do Mission Hills, Hillcrest, downtown. We're going to be looking at different the indexes of different areas, and we're going to see what is the trend. What's the trend of San Diego, not San Diego County, San Diego, and then what is the trend of different local markets. So this needle can indicate various things. There are 5 things this needle indicates. Number 1, price stability. Okay, this needle is indicating price stability. How stable are the prices? Declining activity. Is activity declining? And when we look at that, we've got to consider a few other facts as well. If it's declining, is it because of low inventory? And that's one of the things this needle will illustrate as well, low inventory. Now, sometimes you can have declining activity, but it's not because of demand, it's because of low inventory. So if they say 2,000 properties available in San Diego, and they say, well, but only 1,000 is selling, whatever, you've got to be careful of saying there's too little activity, or that it's not a seller as market anymore, it's a buyer's market. One must be careful of that, because it depends on the inventory levels. That's what it's all. It depends on the supply, and then we look at the demand. The next thing is buyer's activity. This needle is going to indicate buyer's activity. How many buyers are actually buying the property? And the 5th one is seller's market conditions. The seller's market conditions. So these are the 5 different things that this needle and this index is actually revealing. This is a market action index illustrating the action of the market. We're looking at the action of the market, right? For example, this market has been cooling over time. There is over the last few months. So there is a cooling of the market. But what does that mean? Okay. This is the market action index illustrating the action of the market. Remember, the action of the market. Despite constant decrease, there's still a strong seller's market. It's 55, is very far away from the 30. Okay. When the MAI, the market action index, goes down, watch the sales go down. Watch the sales prices go down, I should say. So if there's a trend of that, we're going to see that. And we look at week after week, especially a few weeks in a row, one's going to have a better idea. Now, let's look at San Diego condos. Remember, only in San Diego, and these are condos only, or some may include townhouses in this, which is, now this index is 47. Okay, 47. So that's lower than the single family. And that's just got to do with the action and the activity with condos, because of the supply. It's based on inventory based. That's the real reason, because the demand is still really high there, but there isn't that amount of inventory. So you might say, is there less demand for condos? No, there's not. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is the action is less because of the inventory. Okay. So days on market for condos in San Diego City, the average day is 68. The median is 46. And I explained that earlier what that is. Inventory levels is 460 condos in San Diego versus single family homes is 377, as you remember. The median list price for condo right now, for condos in San Diego City, is $696,650. Okay. The median list price of new listings this week is $685. So also a slight drop as well. But again, you can't make a decision just on 1 week for this. You've got to look at a number of weeks. Look at this index and look at the changes of number of weeks. So last week was 49. Then was 49 is going to 47. So let's see what happens next week and the week after. Is there a trend of the needle moving down? And then we can start saying, wow, there is certainly a trend. What are we going to talk about? And I could go back in December, but I'm not going to do that because it's the first time that I'm doing this, talking with you guys out there. So we've got to watch this weekly. This needle does exactly the same thing. Price stability, declining activity, low inventory, declining activity. That's I didn't change that correctly, but anyway, the market has been cooling over time, exactly the same. Despite constant decrease, there's still strong sellers market, a very strong sellers market. And when the MAI goes down, watch the sales price go down as well. Let's see if that's going to happen. Now, I want to talk quickly about rentals. This is going to be, I'm just about done. Rentals in San Diego, single family residence, which is detached, and condos, which is attached, and say townhouses. That's $3,800 per month. That is what the average is right now. And then the condos is $2,966. That is per month. That's the average in San Diego. But guess what? In 2022, we saw it go up 13.4%. Now that's average. The other places went a lot higher than that, depending on which areas, right? Which areas, for example, downtown or Hillcrest, Mission Hills, or you look further away, San Isidro area. I mean, it is different in different markets, believe me. But guess what? 2024, we've seen a 2.4% down 2.4%. Rentals have come down in San Diego in the last 6 months significantly. So we are seeing that. I'll say significantly because it was going up steeply, but we've seen that go down. And so if you're renting, rentals, are a little bit more attractive right now in terms of pricing and that. Okay. I want to say, find your place in the world. Real estate market, Kurt Francis, master real estate marketing strategist, award-winning speaker, and best-selling author. Love you guys. I hope this has helped. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And welcome to not just getting inspired, but getting invigorated, your vigorizante. And give me a call, 858-229-9180, to list your home or to chat. If you've got any questions you want to ask me about the real estate market, can you do me one favor? And can you have the greatest weekend of your life?